From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is OpenLine.
Hello, good evening to you all, and thanks so much for joining us here on OpenLine tonight. I'm Jessica Ralston, and tonight we're talking about the Holly Bobo murder investigation. As what seems has been happening week after week now, new developments almost every day and new information to share with you tonight. We are joined by our legal analyst, Nick Leonardo, who's going to be offering some insight into the latest developments and also going to help answer your calls. So if you call in, you have a question, it's 737+. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say so far. For many of you who've been very closely following this case and also taking your questions and concerns as well. And we'll talk about the newest developments that happened just today. People in court talking about a video that could be out there. It has become the source of a lot of talk and a lot of controversy. The big question, is there a video showing Holly after she disappeared? Well, that was a question family and friends were hoping to get some answers for in court today. That didn't exactly happen. It was a 2-minute hearing, so not a lot came out of that. But authorities believe a man named Mark Piercy appeared in a video that was taken of Holly after she disappeared. News Channel 5's Chris Conti was in court in Decatur County today. Here's what he found out.
Compared to all the other court appearances that have happened so far in this case, today's just felt different. There was no tight security, no police helicopters flying above, and the appearance by Mark Piercy in court this morning lasted no more than 2 minutes.
You told me at that time you thought you were going to be able to hire an attorney and make bond. And have you done either, sir?
Mark Piercy appeared in court this morning with his hands bound by handcuffs and his feet bound by shackles, wearing a black and white jumpsuit. We did not learn much about the case against him, whether or not he was actually involved in Holly Bobo's disappearance, and if he possibly was in a video taken of Holly after she was kidnapped. What we did learn today, though, is that he hasn't been able to hire an attorney. The court tried to appoint a public defender, but the public defender from here in Decatur County said that they could not represent him in this case because of a conflict of interest. Holly Bobo's family, through their pastor today, said that they were surprised by these recent arrests. What does it mean to them every time there's a new arrest?
Well, there's lots of tension that goes with victim families, and anytime there's additional activities on this case, it is difficult on the family.
So what's next for Mark Piercy? He will be appearing back here in Decatur County Court on Monday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. In Decaturville, Chris Conti, News Channel 5 HD.
And that is where we stand today, and also have to point out, of course, that his brother, Jeffrey, is facing similar charges in this case. The big talk today is about the video, and although we didn't get any answers, the question is, if it exists, we'll find out soon enough, I guess, could it be shown during that preliminary hearing for him next Monday?
If there is a video, I'm not so sure that it would be shown during the preliminary hearing.
Okay.
I think that the police officers would get up there and they would testify as to what they found and the contents of that video. So maybe at the preliminary hearing we would hear, what that video is and what it depicts. I mean, there's a lot of folks that think it may depict some sort of sexual activity or something of that nature. But right now we just don't know even, if there is a video and, what that video shows and when it was taken.
Right. And I'm sure, but anyone can deduce if there is a video that was taken after she disappeared, there's not going to be anything good on that. And I know so many people are speculating about, what could be involved, and it's heartbreaking to even think of, that situation and what could be involved. But all right, let's talk about the charges against the Piercy brothers. Accessory after the fact, tampering with evidence. Break those down for us, what it could involve.
Well, accessory after the fact is a Class E felony here in the state of Tennessee, which means that if you have no record and you were convicted of that, you could go to jail for 1 to 6 years. But accessory after the fact is where you somehow hinder an investigation and you prevent law enforcement agencies from actually getting the evidence that they need or collecting the evidence they need, and about it. But it's also another prong of it in that you didn't really do anything overt to stop it. So whereas tampering with evidence, you're actually doing something. You're going out there and you're tampering. You're throwing something out of the car window. You're deleting electronic data or something like that. But where accessory after the fact, you might have received a video and done nothing with it, but you knew it was wrong and you didn't go to law enforcement or anything like that. But the tampering with evidence is a C felony. It's a higher grade of felony, and it takes or carries 3 to 15 years for a conviction on that. So he's actually going to get higher sentence. He'll get a higher sentence on the tampering with evidence versus the accessory after the fact.
Right. Now, and there's no way, I guess it's all speculation at this point until we find out the facts of what the tampering with evidence would involve. What evidence? or if there was a video and someone tried to destroy the video. I mean, who knows? Obviously, and it's all going to come out in court.
That's what it is.
Question for you, though. We have 5 people, 5 men, who are now charged in connection with this case. Is it even maybe a little surprising to you? I think sometimes in murder cases you have one suspect and that person eventually says something and starts talking and telling friends, oh, I did it, or, you know, so when you have 5 people all accused of being in on this, don't you think it would have come out a little bit sooner? I mean, I know people in Decatur County said they'd known about this for years. They'd heard the same names over and over, but the fact that the arrest took so long, when you have 5 people accused of being involved in this, that they weren't all just eventually blabbing and talking about it. Well,
I mean, I think it's exactly what you said. I think we're starting to see that they started off with, you know, both the Adams boys, and then it's kind of morphed into other defendants. But, you know, the law enforcement is in the business of solving crimes, and that is they want to bring closure to the family, and, you know, they usually have a body, and they have some sort of forensic evidence, and they can say, this is the individual who did it, and this is why we think this is the individual who did it. But in this case, it's turning out to be, unfortunately, more of a witch hunt. And I hate to say that, but, you know, they are arresting more people as time goes because they're trying to put the squeeze on somebody to come forward and say, you know, I know where Miss Bobo's buried, or I can, you know, give you the one piece of evidence that you need that's going to, you know, link this particular defendants to the crime. So, you know, these charges, it seems as kind of a cry for help from the prosecution, because these charges on these 2 Piercy brothers, if that video does show some sort of sexual act, I mean, they could be charged with something else. But you know, if they were convicted of what they're charged with, I mean, the punishment is very small, very, very small, and yet the family has to go through, the Bobo family has to go through and maybe see this video or be apprised of what's contained on that video. So I think as this goes, we're starting to see more and more arrests. And Mark Gwynn told us that the last time they did a press release about the last folks that got arrested. He says we're, you know, basically going door to door, and if people don't give us information, then we're going to arrest them. And I think that's what you're seeing. Like you said, it's starting to unfold. I mean, if they knew that all these people were involved in this, allegedly involved in this crime at the time, then why didn't they arrest them at that time? You know, it's kind of a witch hunt, and they're putting pressure on people. Somebody out there somewhere knows the truth, and the more people they arrest, hopefully they can put the squeeze on somebody, and that's what they're trying to do. That's what it appears that they're trying to do, because if they had a body, you know, that'd be it. We would, you know, the case would be packaged up nicely and it'd be presented to a jury.
Absolutely. All right. And speaking of having so many people involved now and putting the squeeze on someone, the Piercy brothers, can they testify against each other?
Sure. I mean, that's what they're hoping for. I mean, you know, whether you like it or not, law enforcement in the district attorney's office quite frequently relies upon the criminal environment or co-defendants to tell on the other one. And so that's exactly what they're hoping will happen, just like the Adams boys, okay? You know, Zach Adams purportedly or allegedly sent some message to his brother that said, if you don't quit talking, you're going to be in a hole right there beside her. And so that's what they're hoping that these brothers do. But there are rules about co-defendants and whether or not they can all be tried at the same time, and whether statements are going to be used against one or the other. And there's a good chance in this particular case that the defendants would be severed and they would each be in separate trials.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, because to imagine a trial with five co-defendants and everything that entails. But now sometimes, does that work against maybe the defense in some cases, or against the prosecution when you have separate trials? Different things could happen in every single one of those trials. Some information from this trial isn't going to make it into that trial, and it could definitely affect the outcome or the verdict for that particular person.
Sure. I mean, if they could find some sort of direct evidence, I mean, right now I don't know that they have that. It's my understanding from talking to the attorneys that are involved in some of these matters that there's 10 or 9,000 pages of documents that they have to go through in this particular case. So that's a lot of work, you know, and that's what I think the state's case is now, is, you know, is circumstantial. But you know, there's going to be, we'll wait and see, you know, how the evidence shakes out and what the discovery shows. And just recently, the judge in the case declined to issue that gag order against Attorney Fletcher Long and John Herbison down there, and the state was requesting that. So I think the media is going to find out, you know, very shortly what evidence they have, if any, direct evidence linking any of these people to this crime. And it's wild. We're going to go to a break real quick, but it's just crazy to think about all of this. All the talk about this and all the developments, and I mean, the trials haven't even started yet, so you can only imagine when they begin the things that we're going to learn. It's just pretty incredible. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Our frequent caller, Philip, is on the line. When we come back, we're going to take your question and your call, Philip. Hold on.